My name is Whiti HEREAKA. I come from Aotearoa, New Zealand, and I'm a playwright and novelist. The best thing about writing from New Zealand, I guess, is I have freedom to write whatever I want to write, which I didn't really realise until I came here and met other writers from around the world who have to be careful about what they write. So yeah, I can write whatever I'd like in whatever style I like. It might not necessarily get published, but yeah, I at least have the freedom to speak my mind. So that's the best thing about being a writer in New Zealand. The worst thing would be that it's really hard for a small country such as ours to get out into the world. We have a few superstars who hopefully will bring some of us with them, but yeah, to get such a small market out into the wide world is quite difficult. So I grew up in a small town called Kaupoi. So there is a writer there, Whiti HEREAKA, who was one of the first Māori playwrights and poets. And he says he finds it so difficult to live there and to feed his artistic soul. It feeds him spiritually to be home, but it's hard for him to work as an artist. So I had to leave home to go to university, and so I chose Wellington because it had a reputation for literature and for theatre. So I chose to go to Wellington. So I chose to be in a place that has a lot of creative people, so that would support me, I guess, in my journey. Yeah, and I guess there's quite distinct modes of being in different places in New Zealand. Generally, there's kind of the North Island and the South Island, and the South Island can be quite focused on agriculture because there's a lot of agriculture down there. There is in the North Island too, but the North Island is more populated, so it's kind of more urban in a way. Yeah. What I love about New Zealand, I think, is what I love about everywhere. It's the people. It really is the people, and we're a very dry kind of people. Dry sense of humour, can be quite sarcastic. So I miss that about New Zealand, and just kind of physically, I miss the landscape, and I hadn't realised how much that would affect me. But yeah, I miss the sea and I miss the mountains. But yeah, it's more about the people than that. Yeah, it's nice. I've tried to think about this. When I did get admitted to the bar, my brother-in-law said to me, "So now that you're admitted to the bar, you're going to give up this writing thing for a while and try the law." And to me, what he said is, "Are you going to give up breathing for the next couple of years and try the law?" It's just something I do. And it helps me try and figure out how the world works. So yeah, I kind of need to write and it is quite physical, which is very odd. So if I haven't written in maybe a couple of weeks, I get kind of anxious and antsy and yeah, just need to kind of release what I've got in my head. Patricia Grace's book 2, so that's named after the god of war, so it's not like 2, but 2, which is a novel about a Māori family in World War II, and all of the sons go off to fight in World War II, and they're also suffering from the effects of World War I. So it's that funny time in our country's history where we're trying to assert ourselves as a country, and yeah, just the effects of war on our people, especially for Māori people, because in both those wars, Māori weren't conscripted, but they chose to fight and they chose to fight mainly so they could get recognition at home that they were full citizens, that they deserved rights and deserved respect of other New Zealanders. So that's really important, and it's just so moving. It's very moving. I mean, that makes it sound all history, but it is a very personal domestic story, which I really like. Whiti HEREAKA, which is his novel Bulibasha, which I read all the time. It's called Bulibasha, King of the Gypsies. And that's, again, it's a certain time in history. It's in the 50s or 60s, and it's about a Māori shearing gang, but mostly it's about a family and how myth-making in the family has affected them. So that's another great novel to read. In terms of plays, Bruce Mason's work, he wrote a series of plays called The Healing Arch. So Bruce Mason was a Pākehā writer, which is New Zealand European, and he recognised that in our theatre there wasn't a Māori voice. So he tried to get Māori playwrights to write plays, but he didn't have any luck. So he started writing these plays to encourage Māori theatre, and it did. A lot of people started writing after he kind of opened those doors. And also his play End of the Golden Weather, which is a one-man play, and it captures, again, a time in New Zealand that seems to have gone now, so it's quite nostalgic. I really love that. I do occasionally. I have my favourites like Hone Tūwhare, it's another New Zealand poet. I just love the rhythm of his work. I'm reading more now, but it's not contemporary poetry. I'm looking at traditional Māori oral literature, so that's a type of poetry. Yeah, well, we do have mechanisms in New Zealand for the state to support writing. So we have a body, the Arts Council of New Zealand, otherwise known as Creative New Zealand, which are arm's length from the government. Sorry, I'm going to put all this legal jargon in. So they're arm's length from the government, and their job is to support arts across the board, so literature, performing arts, all those kind of things. So we already have mechanisms in place, and I really do think it's important for a country as small as New Zealand to have state support, because our market is so small it makes it hard for artists to even create things, to self-support themselves, I guess. And I think it's really important that we have a lot of our voices available to us, so we have a sense of ourselves. I've found it, as I've come up as a writer, and particularly a Māori writer, I've had younger kids saying, I can finally see myself in work. I can see myself on stage, I can see myself in novels. So I think it's really important. No, I'm a very strange New Zealander in that this is my first time overseas. Most New Zealanders, when they leave high school, they have what we call their OE, which is an overseas experience. So most people go off everywhere, but I guess I was quite studious because I was doing my double degree, so I just didn't have time or money to go overseas. So this is my first time overseas. So what surprised me about America is that I've grown up with America in TV shows and novels and movies. So I had a kind of picture of what America is, and my imagination has been left wanting, I think, because America is so diverse. So since I've been here, been to Iowa City, of course, New Orleans and Portland, and about to go to Chicago, New York and Washington DC. But each place is quite distinct. The people, the culture, the landscapes are very distinct. So I had an idea of America that was quite homogenized. Maybe it's a Hollywood-based America that doesn't exist. So yeah, I've been surprised to find there's a different America in every person, every town, every state. I guess I kind of don't want to be asked a question about my work in a strange way. Because I kind of feel like if you need to ask me questions about my work, I kind of failed as a writer. So I'm hoping that my work will stand on its own. So yeah, I hope that's not a facetious answer, but yeah, I'm hoping that I don't have to answer questions about my work. I guess I would like to say that I'm here in America, and whether I like it or not, I'm the representation of Māori in New Zealand, and that always makes me a little bit uncomfortable because I am just one voice in many. And I'd like to say that Māori and New Zealanders in general are very diverse people, much like how I've discovered America is very diverse. So it would be great if you could hear more Māori voices from all our different iwi, which is our tribes in New Zealand. We all have quite distinct points of view, quite distinct ways of living. So it would be great if the world could hear a multitude of voices and not just one. So there is a writer there, Whiti HEREAKA, who was one of the first Māori playwrights and poets, and he says he finds it so difficult to live there and to feed his artistic soul. It feeds him spiritually to be home, but it's hard for him to work as an artist. Until I came here and met other writers from around the world who have to be careful about what they write. So yeah, I can write whatever I'd like, in whatever style I like. It might not necessarily get published, but yeah, I at least have the freedom to speak my mind. So that's the best thing about being a writer in New Zealand. The worst thing would be that it's really hard for a small country such as ours to get out into the world. We have a few superstars who hopefully will bring some of us with them, but yeah, to get such a small market out into the wide world is quite difficult. So I grew up in a small town called Kaupoi, Aotearoa, New Zealand, and I'm a playwright and novelist. The best thing about writing from New Zealand, I guess, is I have freedom to write whatever I want to write, which I didn't really realise. My name is Whiti HEREAKA. I come from